Well, hello.
Hello, we are back for the sixth time.
Yeah, great to see you here for the 12-hour podcast. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a party.
Sorry, we didn't bring anything.
We brought ourselves and our usual beverages of choice.
That's right. But yeah, feel free to get some popcorn or whatever you like to munch while watching because we don't know how long this is going to be.
Yeah, we'll see if we can break our record. It could be a little bit dangerous to have that approach because if every time we're trying to break a record, we might end up with like an actual 12-hour podcast at some point.
Yeah, I've thought about that.
It would have to be very well organized in terms of the timing.
I
Unless
think it would, yeah, once we decide that we have to reach there, then I think things will kind of work out on their own.
hmm, yeah, maybe. Because otherwise, if we don't organize it well, then one of us might have to pull an all nighter to make that happen.
Or maybe half nighter for each.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Maybe we do it where one of us wakes up really early, and then the other one will have to just go to bed
Sleep
very
late.
late. Yeah, yeah, which would be kind of fun. 12 hours. 12 hours is a lot. You'd have to cover a lot of material. There'd have to be a lot of stuff. I think we'd have to prepare for that. We couldn't just. I don't think we could just wing it. It's. I think it's easy to wing like 1, 2, even 3 hours. You can wing a discussion for 1 or 2 or 3 hours. That's not too difficult. But 12 hours, that's a lot.
But the thing is, we have 12 hours and we have to fill it. So it is better to come unprepared and search things on the spot. That will fill up the time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's a good point. It's a good point. We should have more. I should have more faith in our ability to hold.
Stretch.
Yeah, to stretch it and hold a conversation for sure. Yeah, I agree. I agree. How dare I? That's actually pretty rude. That's a pretty rude thing I just did. And I apologize. I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
I think the viewers are kind enough to forgive.
Yeah. Well, hey, we had 3 views on our last video. That's something. And we
Yeah,
have we have 4 subscribers too.
we are breaking records everywhere.
Yeah. Pretty cool. And the total amount of hours viewed is 6.3.
Right. And what is the minimum criteria for like turning it into something professional? What is it called?
I don't remember, but I think you like in order to monetize,
Monetize.
yeah, in order to monetize this, yeah, I think you have to get like 1,000 hours,
So yeah, we are getting there.
little by little, one step at a time. Not too far off now. It'll
Cool.
happen. It'll happen. So how you been, man? How's it been going with you? What's been happening with you this week?
All right, let's begin with this morning. As you can see, I just got up and got here, so I'm pretty groggy right now, not completely functional
Hmm.
as I should be.
Hmm.
The coffee hasn't kicked in yet,
That's why it seems like I
and
have more energy than you, because it's first thing in
you
the morning for
always
you.
do.
Yeah, but it's first thing in the morning. You gotta give yourself a break. It's first thing in the morning. For me,
Yeah,
I'm like
maybe.
wired from the whole day.
Maybe I'll wake up during the podcast. We never know.
You usually do.
Yeah, so that's about this morning and about this week. I think it went by pretty fast.
Hmm.
Like I remember yesterday I was sitting here and talking to you. So you can imagine how fast the week was for me.
You just slept. Maybe you just slept the entire week away. Maybe that's all you did. You just were in bed.
Interestingly, I slept less
Oh, really?
than average.
That's not good.
That doesn't affect me much. Usually, I'm pretty recovered after 4 or 5 hours of sleep as well. It all depends upon what I believe is that if you sleep early, then even 4 hours of sleep can do much better for your body than what 8 hours can do if you sleep late.
Hmm. I was can't remember who it is, but there's some guy that's like super knowledgeable about this that was on Joe Rogan, and he was talking about sleep, and he was saying that there's a a very large misperception of, there's a lot of people that think that if you get 6 hours, some people like are okay with 4 or 5, 6 hours sleep. He said that's a bunch of BS. That you have to be getting 8 hours of sleep consistently, no matter who you are.
And was there any scientific reason behind that?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember. There probably was. There probably was, but I forget now. I totally forget what the scientific reasoning behind that might be. I gotta find.
Oh,
I wonder if I can find out who this guy is pretty easily. But let's do that in a moment. Keep telling me about your week. I don't want to get sidetracked because I usually do that. My ADD kicks in all the time.
that's okay. So yeah, but I do have a scientific reason for what I said. It is said that the melatonin levels are pretty high during the hours between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m.
Hmm.
So if you are slept for these 4 hours, those are the optimum 4 hours for sleep
From
because
from from 8
somehow
p.m. to 2 a.m. Is that what you said?
10 p.m. to
Oh,
2 a.m.
okay, that makes more sense. Okay.
So our body is somehow synchronized with the sunlight. In the evening after sunset, the body starts to realize that we have to slow down and we have to kick in the melatonin, and somewhere around 10 p.m. the melatonin starts kicking in, and up to 2 a.m. it keeps on secreting or releasing. So yeah, that is what is responsible for our deep sleep, melatonin.
Melatonin. And cortisol is gets produced when you first wake up. Isn't that correct?
Not sure about that.
Yeah, some more
Shall
to
we
look
look
up.
it up?
Yeah, we're gonna look it up. But I don't. Again, I want to find out more about your week first. We're gonna look into sleep a whole bunch this
Right.
podcast.
Okay, so let me think. What did I do yesterday? Yesterday, uh, I took a lecture and I did some vocal practice, that's singing and
Oh well, hold on. What was your lecture about?
physics.
Okay, but what about physics? Physics is a very big topic.
Ah,
You can't just say physics and
sure.
that's it and leave it at that. Come on, man.
All right. So it was about EM waves and communication.
Okay.
So the topic has two parts: EM waves, that shows the what waves are made up of, their properties and all. The second part is how they are used in communication and what are communication systems.
They're called EM waves.
Electromagnetic waves.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Okay. All right. And how they work for communication and how they're used for communication.
They are used everywhere, like internet, Wi-Fi. They are all EM waves.
Mm,
All the data transfer, all the information that is being spread today is happening through EM waves. So they
do
are becoming more and more important for us.
do EM waves interact with each other, or they can just pass through each other?
No, they don't really interact because for interaction, they need to have the matching frequency. And the EM
Right. That makes
spectrum
sense.
is so big that it is very unlikely that two waves will have similar frequency and they will interact.
Right. And I would imagine that like frequency is measured by very small increments, I would think.
Yeah, even small change in frequency can completely change the behavior of the wave.
But don't certain like I think about these in terms of like waves of an ocean. if there's certain moments where, even if there are different frequency of waves, if there are moments in time where waves have a trough or a peak that kind of happen at the same time and in the same area and space, it would cause some form of interference, I would think, for at least a moment, maybe just brief. But is that right? Would that happen?
Yeah, yeah, that is correct. That's called
Oh, look at that.
superposition.
Look. I'm smart. Look at that.
Yeah, we never doubted that.
Well, let's not go that far.
No, I'm pretty sure because we have had so many diverse conversations that, of course, your knowledge base seems pretty deep too.
Mm. You're being very nice today. Okay, so that's interesting. Um, Very interesting. Okay, so you're teaching a lecture, and then what did you say you did after that?
Uh, After that, I think I rested, and in the evening, I helped my mom with something,
Okay,
cleaning up and
nice,
stuff,
nice. Well, you're a nice
organizing.
son. You're a good son.
Mm, Comparatively, maybe.
Depends who you're comparing to, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I get
And
that.
then finally, yeah, I did some singing exercises.
Oh yeah, that's what
So,
you said. Singing exercises.
yeah. So this year, I have been kind of getting interested in music.
Hmm.
Uh, like for the last month or so. I don't think we have talked about this, but yeah,
I think it touched upon it briefly, but tell me more.
I've been practicing much more compared to the past. I've been regularly at least singing one or two songs, practicing it, recording it, and listening back to it, and then even playing sometimes on the guitar.
Nice.
So yeah, but I'm enjoying the process. That's it. I don't know where it will lead or something. I don't know how good I am or how good I can be, but it really is like a mindful practice for me.
Sure. It's very meditative. When you
Yeah,
practice music, especially practicing a musical instrument, it gets you into this zone where you kind of just forget about the world for a little bit. And
true,
your world is very small. It's just you and your instrument and the sound it's making and trying to get better at something. It simplifies your like the entire world, the entire universe into something very insignificant, but in the moment it feels very important to you. And it's significant for you as a being, as somebody who's trying to, you know, find a place of comfort for a moment. It's very significant in that way. Yeah, it's great. It's so important. I recommend everybody, even if you're not like amazing at an instrument, I think everybody should be learning at least
related to music.
something related to music. I think there's something very fundamental to us as human beings that, music is very much a part of who we are. It's like this really deep, it sort of hits us in a very deep way. So
True.
yeah, it's a universal language.
Yeah, I couldn't have put it better. But still, I will try to take it in scientific terms, like we were talking about physics and superposition.
Hmm.
I feel music is somewhere the same. It's superposition and resonance. So when the note, the chord of the instrument and the chord of your voice, the note of your voice,
Hmm.
that matches, somehow it creates that resonating effect and gives you a pleasant feeling that
For sure.
wow, I've sung well or I've played well or something like that.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. When you're matching sound waves or complementary sound waves, and it hits your ears and you're the one that's producing it, yeah, it's got a very interesting effect. And it's
True.
really it's interesting too. Like you can really tell especially if you're playing an instrument or you're trying to I'm not sure if you've ever done this exercise before. This would be very good for you to do vocally, is to take any note of your instrument and then match it with your voice.
Okay.
And
Randomly.
yeah, just randomly. You can take random notes and just try to match it with your voice. And you can really hear, you can actually hear when the sound waves aren't completely running in parallel, when they're not exactly the same. Because when they're not the same, you can actually hear. I don't like. I'm not a scientist, but I'm imagining that this is true. That you can hear when there's moments where the sound waves, if they don't match completely, when the sound waves cross over each other in terms of when a trough happens versus a peak, and you can hear this is like it's sort of a vibrating sound, sort of clashes for a moment.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
it's interesting. You can actually hear that.
I think
And
it will take me some time to identify that because I'm yet to identify my notes properly. I can't tell if I'm singing E or E major or E minor.
sure. Well, okay, so we're gonna get into a little bit of music talk. E major or minor. I know what you mean sharp and flat, but major and minor refers to a group of notes.
Mm,
Yeah, so major, minor, whether it's a major chord or a major scale or a minor chord, minor scale, minor, major, those terms refer to a whole group of notes, a whole bunch of different notes. But
I
sharp
see.
and flat refer to specific single notes.
Oh,
Yeah. So E is better known as E natural. It's a natural note. But then there are sharps and flats, sharp being a little bit higher, flat being a little bit lower. So a lot of people say major minor, but they actually mean is sharp and flat.
all right. So is it the same for every note or just E?
All notes.
Oh,
On every note has a major or minor chord
mm,
and a major or minor, well, technically, like you can argue technically that each note has a major or minor scale or key that's associated with it. But traditionally, there are some notes that don't. It's a little bit complicated. I'm not going to go into that much depth right now because that will take up our entire time and we'll talk about nothing else. Not that
yeah,
I'm
I can.
upset about that. I'd love to talk about music for nonstop forever. I could, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I get what you're trying to say
Hmm.
because after I've seen that the note sequence, and in some sequences, the minor is nothing but the chord note before.
Yeah, flat.
Oh, so you call it flat.
It's called flat. Minor and major, again, is a whole group of notes.
Yeah, there's bound to be some dissonance in the nomenclature
Hmm.
because what we call Sare Gama Pa in Indian music
Hmm.
is Do Re Mi falsetto for Western music.
Yeah, do re mi fa sol la ti do. Yeah, sure, sure. Do re mi fa sol la ti do are just variables. Like x could equal 2 or y could equal this. There's just variables. Do could really essentially be any note. Yeah, and
So it can be any starting note,
could be any starting note, and then based upon the
but
starting note,
but it has to be the lowest note.
um, it's a little bit complicated. It's not a straightforward yes or no. It depends. I mean, yes, but there's some technicalities that you could argue that no, yeah, that's not the case. Yeah, it depends. Depends on where you want to begin within the scale and where you want to end within the scale.
Okay, so let's try this. Can you audibly tell which note I'm singing?
I don't have perfect pitch.
All right, so then this may not work.
Yeah, I could. So here's one thing you could do. If you want to ever test what notes you're actually singing, like if let's say you want to play a note on your guitar,
Yeah.
you can take a tuner. If you're not sure how
Hmm.
to figure out what note you're actually playing on the guitar, you can take a tuner and play the note on the guitar, look at the tuner, and it will tell you. And then what you can
Yeah.
do is try to match it with your voice and then see if the tuner is telling you that you're singing the same note.
Yeah. That's what I try to do.
Oh, there you go. Oh, you got guitar.
So
It's
the
called G strings. That one. That's a good
yeah,
one. Yeah,
right. So I use it, and sometimes I try to match my voice with it, but of course, it doesn't capture the human voice as good as the guitar voice
sure,
for some reason. So
sure.
yeah, I don't know. So if I'm speaking right now, it shows my note is fluctuating between A2 and C2,
Of course, because you're
and
not.
it
Yeah, you're not really holding any notes. Yeah, you're going through the notes so quickly that they're not audible as an actual note.
yeah, and it shows some hashtag over it.
Yeah, that's
That's flat,
sharp. That's sharp. That one's
sharp.
sharp. Yeah.
That's sharp.
Yeah, sharp is higher than the natural note, and then flat is a little B, that's lower. But a lot of times you won't see a flat symbol on tuners. On tuners, you'll just see the sharp symbol. But if you see a little B, that's flat. It means flat.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah,
All right.
perfect pitch is wild. I've had a few students that have had perfect pitch. It's freaky. It's like really, it freaks me out.
But isn't that the requirement to be a good singer? I
No,
believe so.
no.
No?
There's a lot of good singers that don't have perfect pitch. I mean, if you do have perfect pitch, it helps tremendously. But
I see.
yeah, perfect pitch, all that perfect pitch means is that, like, if you had perfect pitch, you'd be able to hear notes like you can see colors.
Right.
Okay, so you see the color blue or yellow or whatever color, and you're like, it's clear as the light of day. It's the color. Like you don't have to think about it. Like it's obvious unless you're colorblind,
Hmm.
which most people are. I guess you could say sound blind.
We can say that.
Yeah, but people have perfect
But we
pitch.
already have that. I think tone deaf. I think we already have the word for
Yeah,
that.
tone deaf is not really a thing. Being
No?
tone deaf is kind of a fallacy. Well, first of all, tone deaf would be, I guess, the wrong terminology. I think what people are trying to actually say is pitch deaf.
Pitch deaf.
But they say tone deaf. Tone is something completely different than pitch. Pitch is all the different notes, a higher pitch, a lower pitch, the different notes. Is it the pitch
Right.
A? Is it
Right.
the pitch E? What? That's the pitch. Tone is the way in which a note sounds. It's the reason why my voice sounds different from your voice, even if we sing the same note. It's the reason why a guitar sounds different than another guitar, even if they're both electric guitars with both the same strings played, but and or even you could take the same guitar played by a different person. It's the reason why the
Mm,
same guitar with the same amplifiers, same effects, everything's exactly the same. The only difference, the only variable is the person playing it. That's the reason. The reason why it sounds different is because that affects everything. Affects tone, everything. So
tone and
yeah,
timbre.
yeah. Timbre is something even yet something a little bit different, right? So the texture and quality of the sound itself. Yeah.
So like the difference between the old guitar and new guitar. That would be timbre.
Perhaps, but it'll also sound different. The note will sound different because it's an older guitar versus like everything affects tone. Everything, like the humidity in the air, will affect tone.
Mm,
Right, like
yeah.
everything affects the way the note sounds itself. Yeah. So, anyways, perfect pitch is a wild thing. It's really wild. Like, I've had students who are just learning music. Like they don't really know anything about music at all. But if I can tell they have perfect pitch because it's like how quickly they're learning stuff and how quickly they can identify the things that they're hearing. And so what I'll do is I'll test it by playing a note and I'll tell them the name of the note. Because if I don't, like imagine like you saw a bunch of colors, but you'd never been told the name of the colors, you'd have a
Yeah.
very difficult time describing the colors that you're seeing, right? You might be able to compare it to something, but especially with notes, like if you don't give a name to it, it's hard for them to describe that, like that they're hearing a certain note or not hearing another note. So I'll tell them the name of a series of notes, and then I'll just go and play those notes randomly, and they'll tell me, like they'll know, okay, that's that F, that's an F, oh, that's a C, that's an A sharp. Like they just know immediately, like not even a second thought. Just like you can see, just like we can see colors. You don't have to think anything about it. So so the advantage to this obviously is if they hear a piece of music, and this is the most wild thing, they can hear a piece of music that they've never heard before and can be pretty advanced. They can hear it one or two times and know exactly how to play it. They can just pick up the instrument and play it immediately, as if they've been playing for years. Because it's literally exactly the same as like I give you a series of colors. I show you a series of colors. Doesn't matter how complicated I might make the order. If you've seen the series and then I go, okay, all you got to do is just like recreate that series. You know, you might have to might have to memorize the series, but if I gave it to you in like small chunks, it doesn't matter how complicated the series is, how random the series is, it'd be very easy to reproduce if you're to do it in small chunks. No problem. You do that forever. So it's literally exactly the same exercise. That's why when people go like, oh, they're like, these people are so talented, it's not really I don't know if I'd say it's so much of a talent as it's just they have this capability that we just don't. So for us, it's like this magic. But anyways, I'm
Then
jealous.
wouldn't it make sense if we, while teaching music, would tell someone to imagine colors while they are imagining notes? We have seven colors, we have seven notes.
Well, technically, there's 12 notes because you got to account for all the sharps too.
But if we just consider the major ones for the beginning,
Yeah. Well, the natural notes. So, um, I mean, I'm just talking about colors, so it's like easy to wrap our heads around. But
mhm,
if it's too abstract. Like if you said, okay, just imagine like the notes you're hearing is like using colors. It's too abstract of an idea. Like somebody that doesn't have perfect pitch would be like, what in the world are you talking about? Like that may like, and you couldn't like. I'm just trying to make a comparison from one ability versus a completely separate ability. Yeah,
yeah, I understand, but
yeah.
you're saying metaphorically, but I'm talking practically. If we did that, would that help students to learn quicker?
I don't think so because they're just like unrelated. They're unrelated abilities. Being able to see colors
Like,
and hear notes, they're completely unrelated abilities.
like if we say red is note A, then pink would be A minor
Flat.
flat.
Yeah. No, because again, it's too abstract. It's like it doesn't really have enough meaning to it. Like it's whether you call the note pink or A flat or hat or whatever, it doesn't matter what name you give it. It's going to have the same meaning to somebody who doesn't have perfect pitch.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah, it's not going to make a difference. Actually,
Yeah,
probably will.
that reminds me a scene from Friends
Mm,
when Phoebe tries to teach guitar to Joey
mm.
and she doesn't know the exact name of the chords and she gives weird random names like the old lady or the eagle claw.
Because that's what it looks like. That's what her hand looks like.
Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah.
That's pretty funny. That's funny. I didn't. I never watched Friends very much.
Uh, you shouldn't have said that on air
I know I'm gonna get
because
for the three people that watch this. I'm gonna get a lot of hate.
yeah, they're gonna share it to everyone and say, "Oh, troll this guy."
Yeah, we just lost our 4 subscribers.
Now it shows -4.
Yeah, exactly. We owe YouTube 4 subscribers just to get to 0. Well, sleep. I want to see if I can find out who this guy is.
Yeah,
Yeah, I want to.
from
Yeah,
JRS.
yeah, yeah. Let's find this out. Let's figure this out. Um, let's do a little Google search, as we like to do around here. Old faithful Google for now until ChatGPT takes over everything. Um, who was the sleep or the guest on Joe Rogan that discussed sleep? I don't know how else to phrase this. Maybe this guy? Yeah. I found him right away. Look at that. Matthew Walker. Matthew Walker is professor of neuroscience and psychology at the University of California, Berkeley, and founder and director of the Center for Human Sleep Science. Okay. So now we have to look up what did Matt, or what are the thoughts of Matt Walker about the amount of sleep required. Once you drop below 7 hours, we can start to measure objective impairments in your brain and your body. The shorter your sleep, the shorter your life. Short sleep predicts all-cause mortality. Yeah. And he's got a TED talk on this too, it looks like. And there's npr.org has a lot more information on that. Oh, this is like an interview that he did with somebody that discusses this. Oh, and it has this part highlighted. It's taken Mother Nature, let's say, 3.6 million years to put this essential need of 7 to 9 hours in place for the average adult. And for us to think, perhaps with a little bit of hubris, that we could come along and start to say, I can train myself to survive on, let's say, just 6 hours or 6.5 hours a night. It's a dangerous thing. When you fight biology, you normally lose. When you lose, the way that it's usually revealed is disease and sickness.
Mm.
So this is his stance on it. And I mean, being a professor, this goes into like a lot of depth. Wow. This is a lot of depth. If you want, for the 4 viewers, you can look this up on npr.org. And there's a whole transcript of this. It looks like it might have been taken directly from his TED Talk.
And he's the author of Why We Sleep. It's a pretty popular book, I think.
There you go. Yeah. So something for all of you to look more into if you're interested. But yeah, I don't know. Like, do you take when people have these stances? Obviously he's very well educated in this area. He's approaching this from a scientific perspective. He's obviously done a lot of research in this, but is there any part of you that still has a certain level of skepticism? Because there's different narratives that we've heard around sleep, right? And the need for this 7.5 to 8 hours for everybody.
Yeah. So I think I agree that on an average we sleep for 8 hours, and it can do a lot more good if we can get in that range somehow. But that doesn't mean that if we sleep for 4 5 hours a night, that it will have negative impact immediately.
Well, sure, not
What I feel,
immediately, yeah.
yeah, over the time, I agree that it may impact your health and cognition, but temporarily for a few days, I think you can sleep a little less and still feel the same. And yeah, from my experience, I would say if I have slept for 4 5 hours for continuously 3 4 nights, I will get the physical signs of that. My nose will start dripping.
Hmm.
That's a first sign that I've been resting less.
Interesting.
Has that happened to you before?
No, I can't say I don't get runny noses if I haven't slept enough. If I haven't slept enough, I'm like very foggy brained. and then I get super wired. Um, and if I sleep too much, then it can be really hard for me to get up. Like it can constantly seem as if I'm never going to get enough sleep. Yeah.
Sleep inertia.
Yeah. Is that called that's called sleep inertia?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I know
So
that.
so whenever someone tells me that they are sleeping for like 10 hours, I tell them that you are going through sleep inertia, because if you continue to do that, your body will get accommodated to 10 hours of sleep, and then 6 hours would be too less for you.
Mm.
And then you will feel groggy, cranky, and maybe even sick the next day.
When you get 8 hours of sleep, do you wake up like right away totally refreshed, or are you groggy usually?
I would say somewhere in between.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, it
It's
makes
not completely ready to go or something,
right.
but it's okay.
Yeah. I I wonder. I'm going to go for this sleep study. I'm going to tell you all about it. I'm actually supposed to go, I think, in a couple weeks. And I have a lot of questions. Like I'm trying to like because I've heard that if you're sleeping properly, like getting into your REM sleep and you're getting the full amount of sleep that you should be, sleeping right through the night, that you should wake up completely refreshed. Like you shouldn't have any bit of grogginess. Um, but I don't.
Surprisingly, sometimes when I wake up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., not by choice, but suddenly, I feel much more refreshed somehow.
I agree.
And do you remember the last time we had this podcast an hour earlier?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was because I woke up pretty early. I woke up before 6 a.m., I think 5:30 a.m., and I was feeling refreshed. And I thought, why not let's start early today so you can go to sleep early.
Which is very nice of you. That's very considerate. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, that's happened to me a lot too. I think maybe there are just some times where you just don't need as much sleep. Maybe you don't need 8 hours sleep all the time. Maybe it's not necessary. Maybe it's
Right.
just most of the time. Maybe it's a large majority of the time. But maybe just sometimes your body just doesn't need it. You're fine. Like 4 hours of sleep is enough. I wonder too, like if you wake up refreshed even after a very short amount of sleep, if that actually is enough, or are you just perceiving that as enough because you've woken up refreshed? But is it really actually not? Like is it just sort of something that happens with a short amount of sleep? Sometimes I don't know.
I doubt so. I doubt so. But yeah, we always have that option of taking an afternoon nap if we feel that it wasn't enough.
Yeah, yeah. I took a nap today. Naps are the best. I,
Yeah, it's best if it is kept short, in my opinion.
yeah.
If it gets over an hour, then it again brings you in that groggy zone.
I don't know. It depends. For me, I took like a 2 hour nap. It was great. I needed it badly. I
Yeah.
just I was toast. If I didn't take that nap, I would be really struggling right now to do this.
Okay. So what that confirms is that integral number of REM sleeps.
Hmm.
If
Yeah,
you are
maybe. Yeah,
Yeah, so a REM cycle, sorry. So
yeah.
if you have integral number of REM cycles in your sleep, then you are bound to wake up refreshed. But if you have 3.5 REM cycles, then
Yeah, if we
maybe
can.
you'll wake up.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Like if you're waking up in the middle of a REM cycle, then then that's when you'll wake up like kind of out of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but if we follow that theory, then it becomes very complicated because we really cannot know or measure that, and we cannot set a proper alarm for that. I've tried looking for apps that would, measure the REM cycle and decide what time should I be waking up, but there is nothing yet there. So maybe with AI, it will be possible
maybe.
soon.
I think you'd have to hook up. I imagine you'd have to hook yourself up to some sort of electrodes to know for
No, we
sure.
can, maybe this smartwatch can work because it can itself record our sleep. So it says I have slept 6 hours today, of which I had 47 minutes of deep sleep,
Right.
and it shows some blank spots in the middle, which means that I was awake for a few minutes in that duration.
Interesting.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
So it was this kind of bar graph.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, that's cool. But I thought that these sorts of things are measured much more accurately through your brain waves.
electrodes.
Yeah, through your brain waves and not so much uh, like through your pulse or through your through the way maybe you're like I don't know. I don't know if there's a like I don't know if there's a different way or if it's accurate enough to measure your cycles, your REM cycles outside of measuring your brain waves. More questions I'm going to have. I'm going to have a lot of questions for this guy. I'm going to drive him insane. He's going to look forward as soon as I get there, he's going to be looking forward to me leaving.
So if anybody knows him, let him be our first guest on the podcast.
Yeah, I can ask him.
Yeah, maybe he's on Twitter and we can, hit him up.
Yeah, maybe. That's why I'm wearing these, by the way. That's why I wear these. A lot of people ask me about these glasses.
So to block the blue light.
Yeah. So these are daytimes, so that I can easily see everything is easy as I would if I wasn't wearing the glasses, just with like a yellow filter. And then I have night times, which are dark red.
Mm.
And people ask, why are they yellow? Why yellow? Like, why can't they be clear? Because these are the blue light reflectors that are clear. But I don't know how much like blue light they're actually reflecting if they're clear. Because yellow makes sense. Because yellow is the color that you get from red and green light together, if I remember correctly. It's all light minus blue. So
Like sun.
yeah. So I'm getting well, I think it's yeah, I suppose so. Because the sun is yellow because it's reflecting off the atmosphere, and the blue I think the sun is completely actually white light, isn't it? But the
You're
reason why
right.
you're seeing it as yellow is because it turns the sky blue.
Yeah,
So you're seeing the
told you, you are
difference.
smart.
Yeah. You're seeing the difference between
Yeah, so sun is actually white. It
yeah.
sends out white light, but
Yeah.
atmosphere takes up the blue light, and what we
Yeah.
see is yellow.
Yeah. It refracts the blue part of that white spectrum that comes through, and then
Yeah.
all you're left with is the yellow light. Yeah. So this is supposed to I suppose that's why it's called daytimes, yeah, as well, because it's like I guess it's it's fooling your brain into just getting straight yellow light that you would be getting from the sun.
Yeah, so it kind of gives the sunset effect, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe it's sunset or sunrise. Yeah, I guess the
Yeah, it
sunrise
can go either
effect.
way.
Yeah, I
So
guess so.
that's dangerous. Like the brain might assume it's sunrise and it will wake you up.
Well, yeah, and then the thing is that's why you wear the red ones afterwards. So the red wear the red
So it's a
ones
sequence.
to sequence. So then you wear the red ones. So you take these off, and then you put the red ones on right away, and then it's
So you
like
see, yeah,
sunset.
so
Yeah.
you are basically simulating the sunset,
Yes.
and that will help your body know that it is getting towards the night time and you have to start producing melatonin.
Exactly. And then what I'll do is if I keep the red glasses like right by my bed, and then if I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm having trouble sleeping or whatever, I put the red glasses on if I want to look at my phone. And that way I'm just getting strict red light.
Okay, so now it makes sense. When I see celebrities wearing these different colored glasses on the set, now I can understand why they are doing that.
Hmm.
I always thought, why would they be wearing these different colored glasses on the set during the shoot? Now it makes sense that it might be later in the evening and they are trying to slow their body down.
Yeah, maybe they're trying to like regulate their melatonin levels and this sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I find it helps. I find that if I'm not using them for some time, I like every time I stop using them, my sleep is definitely affected. And again, it could maybe it's all psychological, maybe, but
placebo.
yeah, it could be a placebo effect. I have no idea, but I think there's something to it. I've also heard about this. I've also heard about red light therapy.
Before sleep.
I think either maybe before sleep or after sleep, like when you first wake up or something like that. I heard that it's really good for your skin and your eyesight. I've heard these people like go into
Yeah,
these beds that are just bathe them in like this particular frequency of red light.
yeah, I've seen those electric mask that you can wear, and it can emit different colors of lights.
Oh,
So
I don't know about that.
every color is meant for different skin condition. It red may be for acne, and something might be for oiliness. I'm not sure which color is for which.
For different, I'm looking this out, different frequencies of light. Frequencies of light. Let's look this up.
Maybe you can look it up as LED therapy or something for skin.
Ah, okay, let's do that because something really. Oh, is this it? It's like an actual mask.
Yeah, and with light coming out from
Yeah, this looks
the rear
wild.
end.
Yeah, current body skin LED light therapy face mask. This thing's freaky. Jeez.
It's not that complicated if you understand photosynthesis. Just like plant needs light, daylight to produce food, our skin also needs light
Sure,
to
makes
produce
sense.
different nutrients.
This thing's wild. That's pretty cool. I want to look up too. I want to look up more about the benefits of. Let's ChatGPT this one. Are there any benefits for um
LED therapy.
yeah from yeah LED therapy? Okay. Yeah, it's popping up a whole bunch of stuff that I thought was true. LED therapy, also known as light therapy or phototherapy, involves using specific wavelengths of light to treat various skin conditions and promote overall skin health. While individual results may vary, there are several potential benefits associated with LED therapy. So, stimulates collagen production, reduces inflammation, improves acne, speeds up wound healing, enhances skin texture and tone, non-invasive and safe, sure, and complements other treatments. Are there any potential downsides to seeking out LED therapy? Uh, oh, interesting. So, while LED therapy is generally considered safe and well tolerated for most people, there are some potential downsides and considerations to keep in mind. Skin sensitivity, risk of eye damage. LED therapy devices emit bright light, and prolonged exposure to this light can potentially damage the eyes. It's essential to wear protective goggles or eye shields during LED therapy sessions to prevent eye strain or injury. Limited regulation of devices, variable results, cost considerations, not suitable for everyone, potential for overuse. While LED therapy is generally safe, excessive or prolonged use of LED devices could potentially lead to adverse effects or unintended consequences. Lastly, are there particular frequencies of LED light that seem to be more beneficial than others?
Well, I think that depends on the condition that you're seeking benefit with.
Yeah. Well, it's listing a whole bunch. Oh, wow. Interesting. So it's listed the benefits of every single spectrum. So red light between 620 to 700 nanometers stimulates collagen production, improves skin tone texture, enhances wound healing. Near infrared light increases cellular energy production, reduces inflammation. Blue light targets acne causing bacteria, balances oil production. Green light reduces hyperpigmentation, calms sensitive skin. Yellow light improves lymphatic function, enhances skin detoxification. Lastly, I got to ask this question too. Are there particular frequencies that are that improve eyesight? Because I heard red light is supposed to help, but I don't know if that's true. While LED therapy is primarily used for skin care and other therapeutic purposes, there isn't substantial evidence to suggest that specific LED light frequencies can directly improve eyesight. Okay, and then it goes through a whole bunch of more information that we don't have to go through. Natural sunlight is saying, which contains a broad spectrum of light frequencies, is important to maintain overall eye health. Yeah, that I know. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. There you go. That answers a lot of questions. What are your thoughts? You're going to do some LED light therapy or what?
It's intriguing, but I think it would end up being in my closet. So I may not purchase something like that, but I would definitely try this goggle therapy,
Hmm.
different colors of goggles.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I've heard about like there actually being these full beds that you can get into. It's not just a mask,
Yeah,
but an entire bed.
yeah, there are.
Yeah.
Now, I think those sensory deprivation chambers, those are also pretty common, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, so we can basically incorporate LED with that as well.
Yeah. But I don't know, like those aren't really I wonder if they've I bet you they have like some sensory deprivation chambers that also like there's maybe like an LED like component to it where you're like maybe they have got something where all senses that'd be pretty wild. Like all senses are deprived besides your exposure to specific bands of or frequency of light. But I guess you'd be wearing
Yeah, that
goggles, but still,
no.
that'd be kind of
So it would
interesting.
be something like your eyes are covered, everything, you can't see anything,
Yeah,
but the light, the color of light is on,
yeah,
and that sends your mind into a different state,
yeah,
kind of based on the color that you are experiencing.
yeah. That's interesting. I would do a sensory deprivation chamber. I would try it.
Yeah, I would love that too.
Yeah, be kind of cool. Yeah.
Let me see. What is the closest sensory deprivation center here?
I wonder too where the closest one is here. Let's look that up. Let's find out. Sensory deprivation tank. Here we go. Toronto.
Okay, so I have found one in Bandra,
How
which
far
is
away is
like
that?
2 hours away.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty far drive. There's one place here Sante Salt Cafe and Healing Spa. They got a 4.9 rating. Where are they located? I hope Sante Salt Cafe and Healing Spa. Not that you'd ever watch this, but if anybody is watching this, you're getting some free promo to our 4 subscribers. So 1200 Highway 7. That's pretty close. It's actually really close.
Right. And what does it cost you over there?
Oh, let's look that up. Where's their website?
It
Website.
shows around $100 for me.
Let's see. Let's see. Services. Holistic massage therapy, salt caves. Oh, these guys are pretty extensive. Infrared salt sauna, crystal wet sauna, hand and foot, flotation therapy. That's probably it. Oxygen therapy, yoga, rejuvenation pod. Maybe that's what it is. Rejuvenation. Let's look at the rejuvenation pod. Yeah, this looks like this is wild. So it's showing some lady going into this. Yeah, it looks like an actual pod, but you're not. Yeah, this is not sensory deprivation though. Which one would be flotation therapy? Maybe.
Yeah. So that's like the cheaper version of that.
Yeah, but this is not. Yeah, it's just like a pool and you're just floating. It's not really separate sensory deprivation. So this is not it. This is not it. Google, you gave me a bad response.
But I'm beginning to having some doubts about this. Like sensory deprivation technology has been around for 5 decades, I think.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, I've seen the same in old sitcoms that are from 80s. Makes me wonder why hasn't it picked up yet? Why is it still so rare?
I don't know.
The technology is pretty basic.
Maybe people are freaked out
It
by it.
just has magnesium water. That's it. It has salt water, nothing else.
Oh, here we go. Elemental Wellness and Float Studio. Let's look up this place. Oh, I have to sign into Facebook. I'm not signing into Facebook. Can I just close this? Oh yeah, I can just close that. Look at that. Oh, this is really close too. This one. Let's see. Let's go to their website. I'm interested to know more about how long. Oh, here we go. Sensory deprivation. Oh, and they've got red light therapy too. Yeah, this one looks more like it. But it's not giving me any prices that I can see. See pricing and book a session. Here we go. And no information's coming up. Nope, no information. You got to like book an appointment and then you find out the pricing, I guess. So I don't know.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, it doesn't show pricing, so I have no idea.
Alright, so we know that it's around $100 in India, and we'll know soon how much it costs in Canada.
I'm going to, I'll give them a call. I'm going to find out. I'm curious.
And if it is pretty expensive, you can maybe take a flight to Mumbai and then
Yeah,
have a therapy.
it might be less expensive to do it that way. Plus, I get a trip to Mumbai.
Yeah. And you have been wanting to visit India, right?
Yeah, mostly for the food.
Ah,
I want like
is
some proper Indian biryani.
I can make that.
You can make biryani, but like
I
spicy.
can,
I like
yeah,
it.
I can cook. I can cook a lot of food. I can maybe cook at the basic level, not very advanced, but yeah, I can cook many of them.
How do you make your biryani? Tell me.
Sure. So the way I do is I put all the ingredients at once.
Okay, but what are the ingredients? I want something in depth. I want to be able to see if I can make this myself somehow.
All right. So you have to start with rice
Mm,
and then your choice of protein. That could be chicken, mutton, whatever you prefer,
okay.
pieces of those. And then you have to add salt, of course.
Mm,
That's the basic. And
yeah.
now comes the main ingredients. Those are, we call them like garam masala in India. I'm not sure, but
Okay.
it includes clove and then it includes star anise,
Okay.
cardamom.
Okay.
I think these three are the most important
So
ones that
cloves,
give the
cardamom,
aroma.
and star anise.
Cloves, cardamom, and star anise.
Okay. Yeah, those are pretty easy to get.
Yeah, and you can even add cinnamon sticks
Mm,
and beetle leaf. Sorry, not beetle leaf. I
bay
don't know what
leaf.
that will be.
Is it bay leaf?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, the big one.
Yeah, bay
That's
leaves. Yeah.
yeah. So bay leaf, and yeah, then you can add your. If you wanna make it spicy, then you can add green chilies or red chilies, depending upon your taste.
Okay. Do you cook
So yeah,
it
these are the
in
basic ingredients.
do you cook it in water or like a chicken stock or something like that?
Either will do. Chicken stock might give a much better flavor.
Yeah. That sounds pretty easy. And what do you do? You put it in a slow cooker or you put it in a pot in the oven? Like what do you do?
You can do either. I think traditionally it is done in an open slow cooker,
Okay.
and what we do at home is pressure cooker.
Okay. And I suppose you're deciding like on the spices, you're deciding on the amount based upon the type of taste that you want to get.
Sure, but usually it's not more than a few pieces. Sorry. So it would be like two pieces of clove, one piece of star anise, one piece of
Cardamom, yeah.
what was that? No, cardamom can be more because they
Okay.
are pretty small.
Okay. Bay leaf
Cinnamon
though.
sticks.
The cinnamon sticks. Yeah. Yeah, because that stuff has like a pretty strong flavor.
Mm,
So you don't have to be overpowering. Yeah. And like, so you won't cook the rice and the chicken separately. You'll cook it all together at the same time.
yeah, they can pretty well cook together, be cooked together because I think they take around the same time to cook.
Okay.
Maybe 15 minutes is enough.
Okay. What kind of rice do you use?
For biryani, you should be using basmati rice.
Basmati. Okay. Basmati's the best.
Yeah,
Okay. I like jasmine too. Jasmine rice is not bad.
jasmine rice. I'm not sure I know to identify the difference, but yeah,
Hmm.
we just use two types of rice here. One is long and short. So long one is
Okay.
basmati and short one is the regular one.
Okay. Okay. The regular one. The regular rice. Okay. Interesting.
And what you can serve it with is veg yogurt, like yogurt mixed with salad, chopped salad.
Okay. Oh, you do it like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've only ever had it with either just plain yogurt, like even like a Greek yogurt, or like a mint yogurt. Some people will take mint and
Yeah,
they'll
that sounds good. Oh yeah, you can add mint. That would actually be a good addition to the biryani.
yeah yeah yeah
Mint leaves.
yeah. People will take. I've seen people take mint leaves and then they just a little bit of water. They boil it just to get all like the flavor out, and then they use that water with the mint leaves with like really thick Greek yogurt, and then they mix it up.
Mm,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So I think that's called tak in India.
Talk.
Tak.
Okay. The yogurts. That's what it's called.
Mint yogurt.
Mint yogurt's called talk. Okay. Nice. Yeah. Now I'm hungry. I want to make biryani.
Yeah, if you have all the ingredients, sure, you can have it ready in 15 minutes.
That's pretty good. That's not long. It takes longer to cook rice than 15 minutes.
In pressure cooker, no, I think
Oh, true.
15
If it's in a
minutes
pressure cooker, yeah, sure. But I don't have a cooker, so I'd have to cook it in a pot
right?
in the oven.
So maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah, you need about 30 minutes. That makes sense for sure. For sure. Yeah. Sounds pretty good. I'm enticed.
Yeah, but you have to be careful about the amount of water because then it might turn into risotto if you have
Oh, for
too much
sure.
water.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You want it to be dry. Like not too dry, but like, it shouldn't be wet.
Yeah,
Shouldn't be any liquid
shouldn't be
left
soggy.
over. Yeah. Should be any sogginess to it for sure. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So chicken or lamb? What's the difference between lamb and mutton?
I think they are the same. Maybe they are cousins or something. Goat and lamb, they are cousins, right?
Uh, True. Yeah. Mutton is goat, right?
Yeah.
Lamb and mutton. Yeah. I didn't even. That's wild. All I did is put an MUT and right away it just popped up lamb and mutton.
They are listening to us, of
That's a
course.
little bit freaky. Um,
So maybe these four subscribers are Google employees.
Here we go. Lamb and mutton. What's the difference? Lamb and mutton are two types of meat with different uses in the culinary world. Learn about the differences between two types of red meat. Oh, okay. What is lamb? Lamb is the meat of young domestic sheep. And there's a whole bunch more information. Mutton is the meat of a mature adult sheep. Okay, so it's like the difference between like veal and, well, you don't eat cow, right?
No.
Yeah. But here we
So veal
do.
and beef.
Yeah. Veal and beef. It's like the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So mutton is the mature adult sheep, and lamb is the young sheep.
So I think lamb would be softer.
Yeah, lamb is pretty good. I have a whole bunch of lamb chops in the freezer right now, ready to go.
Right. So there is half your biryani.
Yeah. Yeah, I could just use lamb chops. It's on a T-bone, so it's the T-bone ones. So I have to I just peel the meat off. Yeah, but those are amazing. Like I'll cook those in cast iron.
Mm.
Yeah, and they just come out like super soft. Just melts right off the bone. Fantastic. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can cook it with the bone as well, the biryani.
Oh
And you
sure.
can
Yeah.
just remove the bone pieces later.
What about ox? Do you eat ox?
I don't think so.
No.
Ox is, no, it's very rare here.
Mm.
I think
Ox.
ox and yak are same, right?
Mm.
We have yaks here, but they are only found in northeastern region, and yak milk is common there.
Mm. Why is the cow considered to be a sacred animal? Is it because for such a long time it was used for trade? Do you think?
One of the reasons that I know is that cow gives us five elements that are useful for medicinal purposes or wellness, etc. So these are called panch dhatu. I'm not sure, or pancharatna. So the five things are milk, ghee, and one of them is cow urine. It's used as a medicine here.
Explain that one.
Not everyone uses that, but traditionally in what is it called, Ayurveda or the old Vedic medicine, cow urine is supposed to believe have some antimicrobial properties. It has anti-carcinogenic properties even.
Cow
So
urine.
it's
But what
uh,
about other animals' urine? Why specifically cow urine?
again, I'm not very well versed in that
We're gonna have to look
area.
this up
So
too. So, but and what do they do? Like, is it just like straight cow urine? Do they do anything to it? Do they boil out some of the impurities? Like, are they drinking it, putting it on their body? Like,
both. You can add it to bath water. You can take a few drops and consume it with water. You can use it to clean your house, to
clean your
purify,
house. To clean your
to
house.
purify, yeah, to purify and ward off the evil.
That's interesting. I wonder how this. I mean, because this would have. Is there any sort of scientific backing to any of this, or is it just more traditional?
Scientifically, as I said, it would be antimicrobial, so it
Yeah,
will kill off germs.
really? Cow urine would kill off germs.
Yeah, that's the only scientific thing
That seems
that I'm
so
aware of.
counterintuitive. I gotta look more. I gotta look up this more. This is definitely a job for ChatGPT. What are the benefits
Of cow urine.
of cow urine? You know, we're naming the podcast "Cow Urine" today.
Why
Uh,
we should drink it?
yeah, yeah, drinking cow urine. Cow urine, also known as
Gomutra. Yeah.
gomutra, in Sanskrit and Hindi, has been used in traditional. Oh, I'm going to say this wrong. I'm totally going to butcher this.
Ayurvedic.
Ayurvedic medicine for thousands of years and is believed to offer various health benefits. However, it's important to note that scientific evidence supports these claims is limited, and some of the purported benefits may not be supported by rigorous scientific research. Nonetheless, here are some of the potential benefits attributed to cow urine. So, yeah, antimicrobial properties, detoxification, anti inflammatory effects, antioxidant activity, enhanced digestion, boosted immunity, and skin health.
Yeah.
Interesting. But it's saying here there is not enough scientific evidence to support this. And I wonder how long. Let's look this up. Okay, so how long has cow urine been used in
Thou- Thousands of years.
Indian culture? Yeah. It dates back over 5,000 years. Wow.
So you can understand why people don't want to say, okay, even if science doesn't agree, we are still going to continue
Of
to
course,
use
because
that.
it's cultural. It's like if it's an
Yeah.
important part of a specific culture. But do you think, here's an interesting question. Do you think that if there was very strong, conclusive evidence that clearly showed that there'd actually be a danger, let's say to infants, let's just say hypothetically, there's a serious danger to infants at a young age for having exposure to cow urine in particular, that would change the activities of at least some people culturally, even if they had like a strong cultural belief? Or do you think cultural belief would supersede any of this evidence?
When you put it like that, I think they will change it because when it comes to infants, nobody wants to
Right?
take a risk.
Right? Yeah, I would think so. But how, like, what do you think the effect? Here's another interesting question. Like, what do you think the effect would be on the culture and sort of the belief system? Like, do you think that might affect um, more beliefs within the culture or more skepticism of certain beliefs? Or do you think it would just be the one belief that might be impacted?
We're not really sure. Like on the immediate basis, I think the direct consumption of urine might be reduced and they might be converted into bottled packing and which is already happening
Hmm.
and they are converted into pills.
Hmm.
So if you don't want to consume urine directly, you can take urine pills. There
That's
is an
wild.
option for that.
That's wild. Have you ever consumed cow urine?
I have consumed the pills.
Interesting. And have you noticed any difference at all? Like, or have you
Of course, it
just
doesn't show, no, it doesn't show immediate effects. It has to be consumed for over a period of maybe 45 days or something.
okay?
Because Ayurveda is a slow medicinal, it's a precaution basically, what I would say.
Sure.
Ayurveda is not really healing quickly as the Western medicine,
Hmm.
but Ayurveda is pretty good at precautionary steps.
Hmm.
So if you continue to use that for 2 months, maybe you are definitely bound to see some signs of improvement, like you can have lower diabetes also.
Interesting. I
Cow
wonder.
urine is suggested in diabetes as well.
I wonder if some of these things too. Um, like I wonder if like ingesting a certain like very small amount of a toxic substance forces the body's immune system to have a response overall throughout the whole body, and maybe catch it, like sort of maybe like it's almost like a maybe like a shock therapy in certain ways where
Interesting point. Yeah.
yeah, maybe
But
maybe it's more that's happening. It's like, whoa, this is like this is a substance we really don't want to be in our body. Above and beyond any other substance right now, it heightens the level of
yeah,
awareness and yeah,
just like a vaccine does exactly that.
yeah. So maybe it's something kind of like that in a way. Maybe that's what the effect is. But also, it makes me think like if this existed for 5,000 years, um, like did they have that level of understanding of science to be able to determine the benefits to that extent? Right? It makes you wonder, like,
Some
how did
books
some of these?
suggest,
Yeah.
yeah, some books suggest that they had pretty good scientific development, scientific mind,
Hmm.
and they had ample of time. So the research wasn't a problem.
Hmm.
The research would go on for years and they would be still passionate about it. But these days we are trying to do research that would give conclusive results in a few weeks maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so that is a big difference in the research methodology.
Yeah. And I also wonder if maybe there haven't been like really in-depth scientific research done about these sorts of things because maybe there's a little bit of like a sensitivity that that scientists might have around potentially discovering something that may have an impact culturally to people
Mm,
that have like a strong belief, and perhaps they
absolutely.
don't, yeah, maybe they just sort of stay away from doing certain scientific studies to a certain like degree. Maybe they do a small amount, but they don't go extensively into it because if they find
Yeah.
something out, they don't want
No,
to.
but I'm pretty sure that research is being going on. There are,
Oh yeah.
if
Okay.
we are, if we try to look it up, I'm sure we'll get scientific evidence of how much effective the cow urine is.
Let's look it up. Let's look up how much research is being done on the benefits, or what would be the opposite of benefits? Just
Side effects?
side effects. Yeah, there you go. Couldn't think of the word. Side effects of exposure, let's just say, to cow urine. Geez, I'd never in a million years would ever think that I would be looking up information on this, but it's interesting. I would never think about this stuff. Research on the potential benefits and side effects of exposure to cow urine is relatively limited compared to other areas of scientific inquiry, while cow urine has been used traditionally. And okay, so it goes more to that. In recent years, there's been a growing interest in exploring the medicinal properties of cow urine and its potential applications in modern medicine. Some research studies have investigated its, and it goes into some of the benefits. However, much of the existing research on cow urine is preliminary and of limited quality, and more rigorous scientific studies are needed. Okay, yeah. So this is saying there's not a lot of studies, or maybe specifically rigorous studies that are being done. Yeah, makes me wonder. Makes me wonder if there's sort of this, uh, you know, unwillingness to potentially find certain things out that could culturally impact people. Um, because I think that maybe there's like a risk to that. Maybe there's like a certain kind of risk to that. Like you could find out that hey, like scientifically, this really proves, and that would be great. That I think that's a good thing. Like gives more, um, provides more reason to have a conviction. But if they find the opposite, maybe that causes certain problems. I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah. Because you don't really want to mess with people's culture, especially if it's like really old culture. You don't really want to mess with that because it's like, it's like messing with somebody's identity. And
True.
that's a
That is
dangerous thing. You don't want to mess with people's identity.
that is why they get violent if something like that happens.
Sure, I get it. I can empathize with that. And whatever your identity is, if that's what makes you who you are as a person, and you take that away, it's like, and you don't know who you are anymore, and then there's like an entity or a body that was, that you can kind of pinpoint as being the reason for that. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a serious problem.
So that kind of reminds me of the incident that happened with Copernicus and Galileo.
Hmm.
It's kind of similar, right?
Hmm.
When they were trying to prove that Earth is what revolves around the sun, but the church tried to poison
There's a
them
lot of
and
resistance. Sure.
hang them. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I get that. And like, so what's
Kind
more
of similar.
important is this is another interesting thing to think about is like, is it more important? Like, is truth more important or is belief more important? Or they have just a different type of importance? Maybe it's that. Maybe they have like, maybe they hold just, maybe there's a certain level of importance that each one of them has, and they both have overall equal importance in terms of helping us continuously be as human as we can be. If you take away belief systems completely and you're only basing our humanity on truth, I think that's also potentially dangerous because people, like, I think it's a big part of our humanity to have a belief in things, to have beliefs. And if you're taking all that away, it's like stripping away a part of what makes us human.
I think belief is important for the present and the truth is important for the future.
Hmm.
So if you can slowly infuse the truth and without disbalancing the harmony of belief, then I think that system can work.
Hmm. That's hard to do though, because there's a lot of, we've seen it, like you mentioned. It's a great example, Copernicus and Galileo.
But
Uh,
there is another example that would be the example of infusing something, and that was Darwin's theory of evolution.
okay.
Did you know Darwin released or published his theory or book 20 years after he thought of it?
Hmm. I think I
Because
heard
he
of that
was
before.
worried.
Yeah,
Yeah, because he was worried that he might have to face the similar thing that Copernicus and Galileo did. So
sure.
he slowly propagated his theory through the peers, through the scientific community, without publishing it. And over the years, when he saw that my life is about to end anyway, he became older, and yeah, so maybe when you are old you can publish the truth. Until then you will have to be careful.
It's interesting that you say that because I think that also is a big part of our humanity. Like when we're younger, we're perhaps a little more fearful of being our true authentic selves. But then you get to a certain age, and I've seen this a lot. Like there's a great example about a guy who came up with this like this really deep understanding of how to make like to increase his odds of making a successful bet on sports games. I think specifically it was football, if I'm correct. Maybe it's sports in general. I don't remember. And he came up with like a whole process for it where he's able to track like every metric you could possibly imagine. And he increased his odds tremendously. And of course, he kept it very secretive, his methods. And now he's older, he's much older, and he's published an entire book on all these processes. Because I guess he got to a point, like you said, he got to a point where it's like, well, maybe this is sort of my legacy, something I can leave behind. At this point in my life, I've achieved enough, I have enough wealth. Let other people profit off of this. Let's leave a legacy behind. Let other people know how I did it.
Sure.
Yeah, I get that. And I also think that I remember like this idea about Darwin, like very gradually, slowly planting seeds in a methodical and strategic way over time to get more and more people aware of this theory that he had strong evidence for, rather than trying to like do it all at once. Because I think people generally are very they're they're not so good with change.
Reluctant to change.
Very reluctant. That's the word. They're very reluctant to change. But if you do it so gradually and so slowly over time, it gets to a point where it's like the change has already happened before you realize it. It's like the frog in boiling water.
I think that is what happened with ChatGPT as well. If they would have fully blown AI and brought it into the public, I think it would have faced a lot of resistance. But what they did was they did it very methodically. They just introduced chatbots first to the B2B companies, and the common public didn't even realize that they are using AI.
Sure.
And slowly, when companies started to reveal that they are using ChatGPT, etc., when it became public knowledge, then they became curious and they used it themselves.
Sure.
And now they are open to accept it much more.
It makes you wonder then, how far advanced are we actually that we don't even realize yet because the public is not consuming,
Privy.
yeah, and privy to aware of the the different technologies that exist. We're just not aware of those technologies yet because we haven't been those technologies haven't been introduced to the public.
I'm pretty sure we are much more advanced than we believe, because even the internet that we use was released 2 decades after it was invented.
Right. Yeah, they're using it basically for like military purposes. That's how things start.
Yeah, they were only using it for science and military.
Makes you wonder. It makes you wonder too about all these, what do they call them now? UAPs? Like the pen. There's a whole thing that was just released. I'm not sure if you've seen it. It's pretty fascinating. It's on National Geographic. It's just released today. Find it.
Was it something like confidential files or something
Yeah.
about aliens and all?
Yeah, because you've heard of the Pentagon Papers?
I haven't heard, but I remember some spokesperson coming to the podium and speaking freely about these projects being going on.
Mm-hmm. So there's something called the Pentagon Papers. And a long time ago, It was reported. All these different sightings were reported, and there were supposed to be spokespeople from military that said, you know, there's no reports on anything. We wouldn't hide anything from the public. Blah blah blah. And then just recently, I can't remember when, not too long ago, maybe 6 years ago or something like this. There was something released to the public called the Pentagon Papers, which shows all these accounts. And I don't think all of them. I don't think all the accounts have been released, but only a certain amount of accounts for like up to a certain period of time, maybe the 1980s. I can look this up to fact check it, but up to a certain point in time, all the accounts that were provided and were documented within the Pentagon, those were all released to the public. Yeah, so those are the Pentagon Papers. Anyway, so there's this National Geographic special that came out. It's like, I think it's 2 hours, that goes through a lot of these different sightings and reports and the people involved, and how like some folks within the government tried to bring those reports up to higher up officials, but their representatives wouldn't allow it to go to get too far up, because if it did, then if the news was to ask those people about, if they've had any insight or information brought to them about these accounts, then they'd have to say yes, or else they'd be perjuring themselves. So if they'd never given the information in the first place, then they could easily just say no. So then those folks came out of the government and started to work with other organizations, like journalists that were trying to gather information about this stuff. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. So anyways, it makes me wonder, are these actually technologies that are built by us? Are these technologies that come from outside of Earth, and that maybe are like, just dropped off like a little package, like, take this. It's like a little experiment. Here, take this technology. Have fun. Figure it out.
Let's see what you can do with this.
See what you can do with this.
We give toys to kids and wait and watch to see what they can come up with.
Yeah. Have fun.
Yeah.
Here's this thing. And then they just sit back and watch to see what happens.
If we believe that we were produced by aliens, then that theory makes much more sense.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we were. It's possible. It's possible.
Every technology that we have is kind of a toy given to us by aliens.
Yeah, maybe. So, really,
what if our 4 subscribers are aliens?
It could be. Because if you look at like Darwin's theory of evolution, you can clearly see different species and how maybe this species is a little more advanced from this one, but you can see sort of like a clear correlation today. Like there's not that much of separation between a lot of, like, if you go, like, let's say from a bacteria to a bird, obviously there's a tremendous amount of separation. But if you look just
if you go in sequence,
if you go more in sequence, you can see that there's not, like, you can see the similarities between, let's say, like a toucan and a parakeet or something, right? It's not that much of a stretch. But if you go from like apes or chimpanzees to us, there's like nothing in between. It's like there's just seems to be like this very sudden shift from one to the other. And yeah, it makes me wonder, like, is this really evolutionary that this happened, or are we part of, there's theories around like us being part of some alien species. They came, landed, maybe mated with the population, or maybe there was some bioengineering or something with a certain population of species that created us.
Yeah, they maybe injected some DNA into the monkeys, and here we are.
Maybe.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be filthy that they came and raped a few chimpanzees.
You'd have to be pretty strong. You'd have to be I think we would be a lot stronger if that was the case. I think there's zero chance of you being able to rape a chimpanzee.
So probably, yeah, they came, they tranquilized a chimpanzee, injected some DNA, and
Yeah,
flew back.
maybe. Or maybe they, landed, took their DNA, took the DNA of chimpanzees, and just created a being from that in some sort of, using technology that we just can't even fathom. And it's not like a chimpanzee actually gave birth to, the first human or something, or like a human or similar to a human. Maybe it was
So
like grown. Maybe the first human was
Adam
grown.
and Eve
Yeah,
were
maybe.
test tube babies.
Maybe. Maybe they are grown.
Yeah, they were test tube babies. Now, if we think about that, then all those alien abduction stories, they also make sense because aliens are basically trying to take a cheek swab, basically,
Yeah.
so that they can build mm, the advanced version of our DNA, and they
Yeah,
are
maybe.
probably growing it somewhere in a test tube, and they will be back when it's fully developed,
Yeah, or maybe they're seeding another planet.
possibly.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. They're just running all kinds of experiments. I wonder what we would do. Like, if we had the ability to get to another system, or maybe not even another system. Maybe we get to, I don't know, Europa, and we see there's some advanced civilization that's able to live underwater. And like, what would we do? I think
I
we
think
would.
first we will establish a communication system, first of all.
You think we'd do that first, or do you think we'd just pick one up?
Oh, yeah, right. Because you have to, first of all, understand how much threat is out there.
Yeah, maybe. And also, you want to study. You want to do studies. So I think would we abduct
Yeah,
one of them? Just pick one up, bring it into our
yeah,
ship, do all kinds of tests on
yeah,
it. I think we would do that.
yeah. Just like we would pick up one animal randomly and check for diseases.
Yeah, we do that all the time to species here
Hmm.
on Earth. So I think we'd just do the same thing there before we'd even start to consider communication channels.
Sure.
Yeah,
Wow, that's deep.
wild stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, something else that I watched, which was really interesting, is this guy who is showing. He has like a background in construction, and he was showing how using very primitive, basic technologies by himself, he could move very, very large and heavy objects with just like his own body weight and with like a limited amount of his own body weight. He was showing himself moving like an entire like massive barn just by himself, like turning it around, like doing a full 360 with it.
Is it some technology or something?
Very basic, like technologies that the Egyptians could have very well used. Very simple, like
Possibly.
using like sticks, using rocks. It's wild. So he took like this slab of concrete that he made. It's huge, huge, huge slab of concrete. It's massive. I can't remember how many tons. It was very extremely heavy. And he placed these very small rocks, like literally they're maybe that big, just one underneath it. And then he had this sort of tool that he made that it was made out of wood that held on to that slab of concrete. And just like with not much force, he could just push the slab of concrete, like just push it, like do circles with it.
So he basically made a trolley.
Yeah, it's just on like a little rock. And then he showed if you use two rocks, you can actually make it move in a very particular direction. And then he showed you can easily lift up these slabs of concrete just by yourself. He was able to lift them up like as high as he wants. And how he did that is he would when he was building it, he would put like a small piece of wood, like these little wood planks, on one end, and then using his own body weight, um, because it's on an angle, he was able to kind of like, I can't remember how he did it, but it basically like almost like a teeter totter. He was able to have it wobble, and then as it wobbles up, he can put wood planks under the other end, and then bring it down and wobble it back up, and put more
Mm.
wood planks, and then gradually he's able to do this with it.
So it's like an ever increasing crane.
Yeah, just doing this with it by himself, and then he could make it stand up by then removing those wood planks, and having it slide. He would create like this little ramp for it and would slide, and then using like sand and water. So you like put water underneath, like he would like hose down the sand, and then of course the sand becomes loose and just big concrete slab just slides down, and he created a hole in the ground, and so it slides into the hole, and then he can just have it stand up, and then he can do another one, and then he can prop up another one, and then move it on top, and then create a structure.
So that's basic, what you can say, basic physics, basic mechanics.
Yeah.
But then that would basically mean that we don't really need aliens to make pyramids.
No, the pyramids could have been easily made with this technology, not needing a ton of people either. Like maybe like not as many people as maybe we thought. Still need a lot of people, obviously, but not as many. And you could definitely build like Stonehenge by yourself,
Mm.
like just a
Maybe.
project that one person decided to do, or a couple people.
Yeah, so maybe who made Stonehenge, he traveled down to Egypt because he knew that there are rich people over there. And he said, okay, see, I can build this. So let me build a pyramid for you.
Yeah, maybe.
And maybe he did that.
Who knows?
So
Who
he was
knows?
the most advanced architect of
Yeah,
that time.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, so it's really, really, really cool stuff. You should easily be able to find the video, and it looked like it was reported on. Looked like there was a reporter from some news station that reported on this, and it looks like it's a very old video. So it's something that we've known for quite some time. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. It's fascinating. Yeah. So I think these theories about it being made by aliens can easily be discounted by this one process. And it looks pretty simple, like very, very basic, using very basic materials that are easy to find. It's
Mm.
not, it's,
So now we are contradicting ourselves. First, we are saying that
yeah,
every technology could be given to us by aliens, and now we are saying we can build anything that can match up to the technology.
yeah. I don't know. That's why I don't know what it is. The real conclusion is I have no clue. I have
Yeah,
absolutely no clue.
that's
And maybe it's a little bit
that's
of both.
always going to be the case.
Yeah,
Even when we are sure,
yeah,
there is always some grain of
yeah,
uncertainty.
yeah. But maybe it's a little bit of both. Maybe it's a combination. Maybe it's certain technologies were given to us, and certain technologies were discovered. Oh no.
Yeah, we may never know. And even if we know, we can't say that that's how it happened.
Yeah, yeah. I guess we'll see. We'll see. I'm really interested to see what kind of technologies come our way. I think the next 10 years are going to be wild in terms of how much we're going to advance.
What do you think would be the most definitive technology That would mean like we don't have to invent anything anymore.
Oh, I don't think that'll happen. I think that's what we do. I think like if you look at any species, you know, you can understand what that species is about by what it does. Like spiders just make webs and catch prey and then eat them. Like that's just what they do. You know, ants bury underground and make tunnels, and then go to war with other ant colonies to maintain their territory and numbers.
Beavers make dams,
Beavers make dams. What do? We just make
build stuff,
stuff. We just build stuff. Just build things that do more, that have more capabilities and use
and beat nature.
resources. Yeah, I don't think we would ever stop doing that. I think we'd always look for something else that we could do that we believe is more advanced, is better, can do things faster, less that requires less resources to do the same thing, to do it faster, to do it better, to make it stronger, make it bigger, make it more productive. And that's just what we do. I don't think it would ever stop.
So we are engineers by DNA.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think that's how it'll always be. I think once we are able to get to the point where we can use all the energy to advance ourselves beyond this planet, we're going to just look for ways to use the energy of not just one planet, but multiple planets, an entire system, the energy of a sun, then the energy of multiple systems, energy of the galaxy,
And then finally, energy out of nothing.
maybe. Maybe we discover how to use the energy of truly use the energy of antimatter. Maybe we have the ability to create universes ourselves.
Mm.
I don't know. Maybe that's what we do. Maybe we get to the point where we're like, we realize that this universe is not going to exist forever. We get to a certain point in our evolution where we're close to that edge, where it's like the universe is getting to the point where it's going to no longer exist, which means that we're not going to exist. So we come up with some sort of technology to be able to build universes that we can then seed.
Now, if we are ever able to do that, I think what we are going to realize is that everything is so hollow, so empty. Everything was meaningless now that we are able to do everything. It's just like printing money. Right now, money is exciting because it's hard to get.
Yep.
But once you have something that you can print it out of, then maybe it will lose that meaning, that charm. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah. I think so. I think that's already kind of happening with money in a lot of ways. I think that's why I think there's a pretty big movement to get away from fiat currency. I think there's something that's happening right now that's trying to get us off of having to use fiat currencies.
Fee,
A
which
fiat
currency?
currency. A fiat currency. A fiat currency is like the dollar or the lira or the rupee or all these different currencies.
So those that are printed against gold that you're saying,
Well, they're
those are
not
fiat.
really because they're not backed by anything. Currencies are not backed by anything anymore. They used to be backed by gold, but now they're not backed by anything.
I think that's only true for US. Other currencies are still backing it up with gold.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Something to look up. What currencies are if I can spell, are backed by gold or another commodity? Okay. Oh wow, I didn't know. So ChatGPT is migrated to being as up to date as January 2022 now. Used to be September 2021. So most currencies around the world are not directly backed by gold or any other commodity. In a fiat money system, the value of a currency is not backed by a physical commodity like gold. That's basically what a fiat currency is, yeah.
Okay.
Instead, it derives its value from the trust and confidence of the people who use it and the stability of the issuing government.
Which
So,
is easy to manipulate.
for sure, because it's just like whatever we say it's worth is what it's worth. Some countries, particularly those with significant gold reserves, issue gold-backed currencies or maintain gold reserves to support the value of their currency. For example, the United States used to maintain gold reserves to support the value of the US dollar under the gold standard system. While the US dollar is no longer directly backed by gold, the US Treasury still holds significant gold reserves. Sure, whatever, but still not backed by gold. I'm not seeing any countries listed here that are still using gold.
Gold reserve.
Yeah. Well, they have gold reserves, but they're not using gold as a means to back their currency because the world reserve currency is the US dollar. So all currencies around the world are based on what the US dollar is doing. They're backed essentially, I guess, by the US dollar, which is backed by nothing. By
Nothing.
backed whatever we're told it's worth, whatever it's deemed to be worth.
It's backed by smoke.
Yeah, smoke and mirrors for sure. So there's this. That's why things like Bitcoin are becoming so super powerful.
Now that makes me think about no, but okay. So I was thinking like if we can manufacture diamonds in lab, we can even manufacture gold in lab,
Mm-hmm.
and then eventually we can print a lot of currency. But that is pointless because now the currency is not backed by gold.
Yeah, and if you can just print it, what's it really worth? You know, that's like finding extra like if you're using seashells to do trade, and you just find a whole bunch of extra seashells.
Hmm.
It's not really a viable way to exchange or trade. You know, you need something that's a finite amount of it, and you can't create it. It's not controlled by anybody. Anybody can own it. You can exchange it immediately, anywhere in the world, and it's immutable. It's
That reminds me of this episode from DuckTales.
oh, what's this
It's
episode?
very
I used to love watching
it's very interesting.
DuckTales.
So accidentally they drop a crown cap in a country where there is no concept of money, and the
Okay.
crown cap becomes so desirable to everyone that Scrooge McDuck,
Hmm.
he decides that he will bring in a lot of crown caps into the country, and eventually what happened is the crown cap became the currency,
Okay.
and it became so diluted that even a small burger costed like 10,000 crown caps.
Hmm. Yeah, it's kind of like what's happening now.
Yeah, so it was interesting that how a kids show can explain such a complex dynamic.
Sure. Sure. That's great. Yeah. And again, I think that's why there's this real push to like there's a need to find something that you can be used for trade or at least to hold on to wealth in a very sustainable way.
Hmm.
And I think that's why digital currencies are a strong argument for that. Well, Bitcoin in particular. The other digital currencies I'm not so sure about. But Bitcoin in particular, because you can never make more of it. It's completely transparent, so anybody can see the code. So everybody can see whether or not it's possible to make more of it, which the code clearly says that it's not. And nobody can mess with the code unless a majority of holders decide to mess with the code. But even then, there would just be a fork of the code that was created, and the original code would always exist. So, and I think there's a like, I'm not sure if you're familiar with BlackRock.
The mutual asset management company.
That's right, yeah. So they have like something like 10 or 11 trillion dollars of US dollars of assets under management.
Yeah,
And
I hear it's the biggest AMC, I think, BlackRock,
yeah,
even if it's not that popular.
yeah, yeah. They're pretty powerful. And them, along with, I think it's like 10 or 11 other asset managers, very powerful asset managers, are um, are purchasing on average about $500 million of Bitcoin every single day, and they've been doing that for about two months now. And there's no intention to stop anytime soon.
So they have cracked the code.
Well, it's not that they crack the code; they're just purchasing it. They're owning it. They want to own it. They want to own Bitcoin.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
They're buying Bitcoin. They're buying it up. They're buying up the rest of as much Bitcoin as they possibly can.
Now, how about this? Maybe Bitcoin was invented for this very purpose, that rich people would want to own it and eventually think that it is real. And once they have diluted all their money into Bitcoin and they have lost their treasure and converted everything to Bitcoin, the inventor of Bitcoin will come and say, okay, I've tricked you into giving me all of your money, and now I'm distributing all this money to the common people.
Well, you see, that would have to be the way the code is set up. Is that would have to be written in the code that would be possible for the creator to do that, but it's not. No single entity has control. It's not a centralized system. It's completely decentralized.
Yeah, but it would make a good sci-fi movie.
It would make a really good sci-fi movie. You know, the ultimate Robin Hood.
Yeah, I think that there was a series, Robot or something, Mr. Robot.
Mr. Robot.
Yeah, I think it
What's
was
that?
based on similar lines. I haven't seen that.
Let's look up Mr. Robot. Mr. Robot. Oh,
Rami
American drama
Malek.
series. 2015, 4 seasons. This actor looks familiar. What's this guy's name?
Rami Malek.
Yeah, Rami Malek. Okay. Uh, let's see. What's this? I don't know anything about this series. Elliot, a brilliant but unstable cybersecurity engineer and vigilante hacker, becomes a key figure in a complex game of global chaos when he and his shadowy allies try to take down the corrupt corporation his company is paid to protect. Okay. Interesting. Who else is in this? Christian Slater. Wow, he's still acting. I don't know any of these other actors or actresses. So you watch this show?
I think I saw first few episodes and then I drifted off.
You drifted off.
Yeah, because I was watching a lot of different shows at the same time, so it was hard to keep track of everything.
Yeah, I can't. I can't watch one more than one show. I don't watch any TV now. Are you still watching TV? You still watch a lot of shows?
I watch a few of them on, like, the new ones. If you're saying, I'm only watching Shark Tank.
Okay.
and that's the Indian version, Shark Tank India.
Hmm.
And I keep rewatching my favorites, the old ones. I am not taking up any new ones. I don't know why. I'm not getting interested in any new show.
You like to rewatch old shows. What's an old show you're rewatching?
I think you have seen the video that I sent you. So most of them are those. Like one of them is Cheers,
Oh,
Frasier,
okay.
Friends, Seinfeld,
Oh wow.
and
Old
The
sitcoms.
Office.
Old
Yeah,
sitcoms.
yeah. So I've been only rewatching and rewatching them. It's kind of like my, what you can say, my something that brings me comfort.
Okay.
What
It's
do you call
nostalgic.
it? It is nostalgic, but still it's familiar, it's comfortable,
Hmm.
rather than delving into something new and overwhelming. Like I watched this new show, Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
For some reason, it got very popular, but I never kind of bonded to this series. I
Hmm.
don't know why. It wasn't my cup of tea.
Never did it for you. Did you ever watch Dexter?
Yeah, I think I watched the whole series of Dexter, but I just watched it because I had started watching it. I
Oh,
never
okay.
really was too much interested
Oh,
in that.
really?
I never rewatched any episode.
Oh, wow. I love Dexter. It's great. Yeah. Love that show. It's
Eh,
probably one of my
The
favorite shows of all
climax
time.
and the climax was one of the worst.
Well, yeah, it was very climactic for sure. 100%. Like the last series. Yeah, it started to get really bad. But I'd say like the first three, maybe four, like up till the Trinity killer.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's where it was really good. Up to that point. After that point it started to go downhill for sure. And then there was the newer series that came out. I think it was called Young Blood or New Blood or something like that.
Is it a spin-off for Dexter?
So it's still Dexter, but it's his son Harrison,
Oh,
who it's like his relationship with his son Harrison. His son Harrison has grown up and now is like taking after his father in some ways. And Dexter's still in it. He's still the
he
main.
was a lumberjack.
Yeah,
At the end of the show, he turned into a lumberjack.
yeah. So he was like in this very small town. So that's where that season went. So I think it was just like one season, and then it was over. And then I heard that now they're going to do a prequel.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not going to
So where
like
his dad teaches him.
yeah, like all that stuff where his father Harry, like all the stuff he taught him and all the like all those experiences that you saw those flashbacks of. I guess there's going to be much more. All that will be like much more in depth. That's what I'm imagining that will be like, or maybe it might be like the things that led up to like what happened when Dexter was a child, like a little child. Maybe it would be that stuff. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the similar thing happened with Game of Thrones. It was very exciting to begin with, and middle part was again very exciting, but the end, that was very bland.
It's hard to sustain a show like that. It's really hard to
Yeah.
sustain a show like and I think Seinfeld. That's what he always said. Like it got to a point where they really reached a a plateau. Like
Hmm.
they reached like the highest point they possibly could. He could foresee that everything would be really downhill. He didn't want that show to be to have to be what's the word, like to have to go through that, like
But
most shows
eventually
do.
it did. Seinfeld, the climax episode, the final episode was very, what you can say, below par
Hmm.
compared to other episodes.
You know, like how it ended, where they were all in jail.
Yeah,
It's still
didn't
pretty
make
funny.
sense at all.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, the idea is funny. The idea is that they cause so much trouble and mischief that they're better off in jail. And of
Yeah, but
course, being all together in jail.
if you take any sitcom, the characters are doing pretty weird stuff, illegal stuff,
For sure.
almost always. So
For sure.
by that logic, every show must end in jail.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But the why we like to watch these things, how exciting it is and how they get away with these things. Like even
Mm.
Dexter, we
Sure.
wouldn't like
Oh,
to
yeah.
see him behind the bars.
Of course. Of course. Yeah, it wouldn't make for a very good show.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah,
Even
100%.
even Breaking Bad, it was
Oh, yeah.
so popular because he could stay under the radar and pull off so much
Yeah. Yeah.
that we would have never loved to see him behind the bars.
Of course. Well,
So
yeah, it would ruin
that
the
is
whole
why,
show.
yeah, that is why they in the end they killed him off.
Yeah. Yeah, of
They had
course.
to.
Yeah, how else would it have to end, right? That'd be the best ending for sure. It's really the only ending. Yeah. All right, well, that's it for me. I'm good. It's 11:30 here.
Yeah, sure. And have we broken the record? I don't
I don't
remember.
remember. What was the length of our last our most recent episode? Let's look it up.
I think it was about the same, 2 hours something minutes.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's 2 hours 16 minutes, and we're at 2 hours and 17 minutes. So yeah, we did
So yeah,
technically
we
break the record. Yeah, look at that.
unintentionally.
Unintentionally. Yeah, just what happened. Always a pleasure. Always fun. For all of those people that are still here, so many, please subscribe. Pretty please. With a cherry
And
on top, with many cherries.
I think they deserve an appreciation because it takes a lot of patience and calmness to go through over 2 hours of something.
Yeah, listening to us for sure.
Well, we've been talking about everything, almost everything.
Yeah. That's the thing we do here. 12-hour podcast. Talk about everything, go into depth about random topics. What is the what's the topic today? What is the title? So cow urine for sure.
Drink it.
Yeah. Yeah. Drinking cow
And
urine.
okay, so
Drink cow urine. Yeah. Actually drink cow
we
urine.
we talk about fiat currency
Yeah.
and what could be the third that we were delving deeper
And
into?
aliens.
Aliens, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Aliens. Okay. Sounds good. I like picking three. The number three is good.
Yeah, I agree. Three is good enough.
Yeah. Three is used a lot. So for many different reasons. So three is good. And what was this? Episode four?
Six, I think.
No, I think it's
Or
four.
if we take in remove the index zero, then maybe five.
No, it's four. Well, yeah, if we remove, yeah. If we remove the first one and we make that the actual episode one, we didn't call it episode zero, then it would be five. But we're not doing that, so episode four it is. And looking forward to many more. Looking forward to getting to episode 400.
Yeah, but what about the statistical depression?
Oh, true. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not succumbing to it. Are you succumbing to any statistical depression?
I don't know.
Is it affecting
If
you?
you see any drop in zest, if I start to postpone or avoid, then take a hint
Yeah,
that
no,
it
no.
might be.
Yeah, no doing that. No doing that. I think we got to okay, this is my thought. I think I said this last time. We got to give this I got to do this study for a year and a half to have enough data to determine whether or not we need to make a change of some sort. What
Yeah,
has
you
been
had mentioned
working,
that.
what has not been working. Yeah. Got to have data. Got to have data. We got to think about this in a really like a true scientific way.
Yeah, in fact, I asked Chat GPT about it.
Yep.
So what
Okay.
GPT said was it takes 6 months to collect data. What you said was 1.5 year.
Yeah. Okay.
So 6 months is where you have to keep on experimenting and trying different formats,
Okay.
include graphics, and basically make the format of the show,
Yeah, I agree.
derive the format.
I agree. So then maybe what we can do is we can talk to ChatGPT after 6 months. We'll tell ChatGPT what we've been doing, and then
And
we'll
this is the response we have been getting.
this response. This is where we're at. What else? What do you think we should be considering? Um, what questions should we be asking ourselves? What information do you need to know about the channel in order to determine what's working and what's not? Yeah, and then make some decisions based upon that. Maybe this could be part of that experiment and see how well ChatGPT can actually help us build up a YouTube channel.
Yeah. And while we are on that, why not start in the next podcast? We can do that live.
Okay, it's a
We
good
can
idea.
even record what ChatGPT suggests.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that. Okay, you might have to remind me. Possibly, I can have a bad memory sometimes. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's possible I may also forget that, but let's see.
Okay, I'll remind you to remind me.
That works if I remind you to remind me.
Exactly. All right, man. Have a great week. Always a
Yeah.
pleasure. And keep sporting that beautiful Batman shirt. All right, man.
All right.
I'll talk to you soon.
See ya. Sure. Bye.
Bye, everybody.